Maybe Pahendra, you're from the industry, you're a mining executive. What has been your experience over the past few years? I mean, as Indonesia's mining sector has kind of come down a little bit, with commodity prices collapsing, and now there seems to be a little bit of a pickup coming back up. Are you more optimistic going forward in terms of the outlook for the industry, number one? And number two, do you have a smelter, or do you have a smelter in the works?
Okay, thank you. Thank you to Pak Satya and the organizer for inviting me to share with the panel on the perspective from the industry. Yeah, as, we're talking about the energy, but to power the smelter. So if you look at the industry outlook, what Stanley has highlighted, yeah, we see the very optimistic prospect for the industry, mineral and coal, in the 2017 and beyond. So if you look at the coal itself, yeah, the recovery of coal price, which was triggered by the changing of the policy of the Chinese governments, of course, has helped the coal price more stable in the 2017, despite some problems in the weather. Yeah, we've seen the Australia and also Indonesia and Colombia and other coal producer has slightly affected the production. But overall, coal prices we see the positive side. On the minerals as well, we see the prices of some selected metals, yeah, like copper, also nickel, has a very positive view. And this is again, if it's like Stanley has highlighted, that if it's backed up by the policy, the policy and the stability of the regulation, that will increase the appetite of the investor to come into Indonesia. And we see some positive side from the government. Yeah? We see the government's efforts to to started to streamline the business process. Yeah? We've seen the robust action from the government in combating the illegal practices of mining, and we see now the progress of the we call it the CNC IUP. Yeah? Now it's moving forward, and with this effort, we expect that in the futures, the more and more proper mining players will be in the field. So this is one of the positive signs that we see so far. But of course, it requires lots of efforts from the government, also with support from the parliament as well. In terms of the integrating the regulations on between the authority of the central, provincial, and regency, now is still being worked out by the government. So we hope that will be some kind of certainty in terms of the authority between provincial versus the regency. And yeah, of course, another thing that's very important is the regulation itself, the consistency of the regulation. Yeah? We see some, the impact of the regulation on the some of the nickels and bauxite players. But if we seen recently what has government done with some companies, we see the positive side towards the betterment of the industry. Of course, it requires some kind of tough negotiation with the industry, but I think government and industry aiming for the better positive solutions. And of course, it has to be supported by consistency and also the regulation, because investing in smelter is 25-30 years. Some similar in the coal. Yeah? If we want to invest in the man-mouth power plant or power generation, it requires 25-30%. So it's like if we look at in the coal, yeah, they have like a power purchase agreement or something that cover for whole lengthy years. And in mineral itself, if a company wants to invest in building the smelter, of course they need some kind of similar long-term stability agreement or something like that. That's something that the government industry players is working at.
Yeah, thank you. If I may just have a follow-up question, and then we'll come back to the rest of the panel. Of course, the topic for this panel discussion is value add, right? Creating more value add for the so-called mineral industry, which means going processing. But you also mentioned that this is a long-term. How would you call it? It's a long-term commitment to build a smelter. I think it takes 5 years to build a smelter, and then the payback is much longer, right? Now, given the current market conditions, I know it's very difficult to project 25 years down the road. But generally, I think, do you feel that, Indonesia rising up the value chain in terms of its processing industries, from its natural resource industries, are we moving in that right direction? And if you look down the horizon, do you see any major obstacles emerging? For example, in this industry, new players coming onto the market. Other countries, are they also moving in this direction? In terms of resource-rich countries. I mean, a lot of people say that Africa is on the rise. A lot of competition coming out of Africa. Are we moving fast enough? Are we not moving fast enough? How do you see that? And then maybe I'll come back to Pak Dodi and Pak Bambang to comment on that.
Okay, one thing is the rule of thumb in investment in mining is money follow the deposit reserves. So Indonesia still has a advantage on the reserve on the several minerals and coals. Yeah, so this is one thing positive. Again, if you look at the what's dragged the investment down because of they perceive that the policy is not supporting for the long-term investment. That's why if you look at the Fraser Institute survey, if you look at the what's industry see on the investment attractiveness, yeah, Indonesia still has a lot of work to do, yeah, in terms of developing better investment regulation. That's I said earlier that we are moving toward that direction, yeah. But if you asking me about how fast or how, I think we're mostly moving. Not slowly, but in the right direction. But yeah, it takes time, and then it takes time, and Indonesia will be in the main destination of investment, mining investment later on.
Thank you very much. So maybe Pak Bambang, we can come back to you in terms of the government's own thinking behind this industry. How fast do you want it to move? And more importantly, a lot of people throughout the day have spoken about legal certainty and providing that comfort level for investors, especially if we're talking about a long-term investment. So I know this is a tough question, but I hope that this law is not going to change anytime soon. Or what's the thinking within the government on this?
Thank you, Sueb. I would like to say that this last 5 years is the end of opportunity to the company who will build the smelter, because we have already seen 2009 we provide the opportunity to the company to make a smelter, to build the smelter. We understand that it's very expensive investment in smelter, so it is like oil refinery. It's difficult to invest in smelter, so that's why the government always evaluate, yeah. And if the government see that still not achieved with the government need, I think the government should give opportunity to prolong the time to build the smelter. And how to boost the investment in smelter? I have to, what is called, to strategic then. First is, yes, make certainty with the fiscal term. And the other one is to make easy doing business. Right now we have simplify the permit, and then also we reduce the term and condition for building smelter. This is, I think, is important thing that when the investor come and then want to invest and then easy to get the permit, I think is they can push the investment in smelter. So the government, beside provide the, for example, tax allowance, maybe tax holiday, I don't know. Yeah, this is because Minister Finance Authority, not SDM Authority. So from point of view SDM, I think just give simple and give fast for the permit.
To make it easy. Yeah?
To make easy, to make easy in doing business in smelter.
Okay, thank you very much. Maybe we, if there are any questions from the floor, from the audience at the moment to distinguished gentlemen in terms of you know, the mining industry, the smelting industry. Maybe I'll just carry on that, Padodi. You know, I mean, you're from the Ministry of Industry, and I think having smelters is important for your industry. But some of the challenges, of course, that have been mentioned in terms of having the source. Where do you think smelters should be built? Should it be built close to where the market is, or should it be close to where the source is? Because this is one of the key factors that have been debated in this industry for a long time. I just get your perspective, which is better from your perspective.
Okay, thank you, Pak. So I think Indonesia faces the huge opportunity in this smelter sector, yeah, especially in the nickel, yeah. As a success story, you know that in Morowali, yeah, in the last 5 years, almost 5 years, they already spent over there $4 billion US, yeah. It's from the target of 6 billion. Yeah. You can see that we can produce in the Morowali, it's about 2 million nickel pig iron, yeah, and now it's going to produce stainless steel, yeah, 1 million. So I think this area in Morowali, it's a remote area, yeah. We see that it will be like Cilegon still city, yeah.